Okay. Just looking for Charles.
Hey, I'm trying to log in, but the link is messing me up. Can you resend it to me again?
Okay, we're waiting on you. Thanks, man.
Okay. Can you?
Okay. We just have one person trying to log in.
Okay.
Beginning. Is everybody able to see the poll?
I would say yes.
Yeah. It's 10:03, so I'll let you get started.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and good morning once again to everyone on the call this Saturday morning, 25th of May. I sincerely appreciate you on behalf of Ruth House. We cannot thank you enough for joining us this morning. It's another opportunity for us to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Temitope Olukunle is my name. I'm a mobile mortgage manager with Savos Credit Union. I am an active volunteer with Ruth House, alongside so many people that will be on the call this morning. And please, if you do not see some of us show our faces on the screen, do not, go into the assumption that it's just 3 or 4 persons that made this happen. There are so many people at the background working at Ruth House, volunteers, ensuring that we have this meeting every month, and it's always been a success. I'm happy to be here, and please, we're calling on volunteers to join us. And please, it's a safe space for everyone. We're going to be going live on YouTube and Facebook as well, and other social media channels available. So please, if you're not able to join the chat, join the room because of Zoom capacity, please feel free to interact with us as well on the social media handle. There is a poll that is going on at the start of this meeting. So you can just click on, depending on how your screen is configured, if it's like mine, click on more and go to click on polls, right? And you'll be able to see the poll and you can answer the question. And just for us to get to understand, have a sense of those that are actually on this call. And it's this morning we're going to be talking about the role of Black men in the home and the community, the role of Black men in the home and in the community. And we're hoping that we actually have those men here in our midst to be able to do justice to this topic, to respond to some of the things that our elders will be talking about. We have wonderful resource people on the call this morning. We have, and I'll start from the Ruth House team. I know we have Mama D already on the call. You heard her voice previously, so she's always here. She's our host, and we cannot thank you enough for birthing this wonderful vision that all of us are keen into. And she's not all about women alone, because when you hear the word Ruth, you think it's, oh, women. We know that's not just it. Ruth House is also blazing the trail. We're going to be having the first men's shelter, right? Not just in Calgary, in the province. So that's something to reassuring that tells you that, hey, this is not just about women alone. And to all the Root House team, I want to start by saying thank you to you for all you do, Dio, and every other person, making this a wonderful time for us each time we come together. And I'll go to the resource persons one after the other. And again, not in No order of priority here, just everyone. I'm just going to call the names. And first on on the list will be Dr. Charles Odame Ankara. I'm not sure he's been able to join yet, has he?
We're still waiting for him to join. He's
Waiting
having
for him. Yeah.
Well,
problems.
he's live online and has been listening to you.
Okay, I mean, that's what men do. Sometimes they sneak into the house to see if everything is in order, right?
Everything is in order, yes.
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, Doctor, and we do appreciate you being here. And we
Yeah.
have our own.
My apologies that my video isn't on. Where I am, my reception is quite weak, so I'm trying to maintain the band. That's why my video is off. So my apologies for that.
That's okay, sir. We accept that, and that's a very smart one. We would love to hear you. So I'll go to the next. That's Dr. Julius Ogunariwo. We call him Daddy Ho, right? He's our favorite. He's always been here, just like we enjoy listening to him. He comes with wealth of years and wealth of experience in business, career, marriage, relationship, and mentoring people. I'm not going to go into that. So each of the speakers will be introducing themselves at the appropriate time. And again, the last but not the least, we have Dr. Clarence Winter in our midst as well. He's always our favorite, every other Saturday, every other month. He's always here with us, giving us some wonderful perspective and, ensuring that we learn and we ensure that we're able to pass this down the generation to our kids as well. Again, part of those, I know he's also part of the reasons why we're having this meeting today. So I again, sorry if I'm letting the cat out of the bag. I know some of his ideas as to, okay, yeah, we can do things like this, and that's why we're here. So please, to all the other men in the house, I know we all have wonderful people on the call this morning, people with wealth of experience as well. There will be opportunity for you to weigh in. Please feel free to use the chat box. Do not hold back. This is a safe space. The calls are recorded, obviously, but because we want to be able to refer to some of these things again and learn, relearn, and unlearn. So please feel free to use the chat box, ask your questions. Along the line, we're going to be stopping the resource persons to address some of the things that you are raising. And at the end of the day, the goal here is not to condemn anyone. The goal here is to learn, is to relearn and unlearn. It's not to say my views are better than yours is better than, but that's not it. We just want to learn from some of our seniors, some of our elders, and let's see, how have they done it? If you look at that your story, Mr. Clarence's story as well, you know that it comes with years of it. So how have they done it, right? And we're going to be learning from Dr. Odamia Ankara as well. So please, that's why we're here this morning. And I'm going to allow each of our resource persons to go 1 minute. Sorry, we're going straight to the point this morning because I know it's going to be loaded. And we want to make sure that we maximize the time as much as possible. If we stay here 6 hours, we will not go home. So please, let's just, go straight to you. So in 1 minute, I would like us to quickly introduce ourselves. We want to get to meet you. Let's understand your journey as a man and the home in the community. And yeah, we'll take it from there. And I would like to start from Dr. Clarence. Dr. Clarence, over to you, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks to Root House for hosting this session. I'm pleased to have the type of panel to be able to expand on some of the needs and some of the continued learning to support our Black men and families. I am a co-founder of the Calgary Black Chamber Society in Calgary and the advocacy director supporting the arm of identifying the value of what it is to really enrich our young Black men in our society and also be able to communicate in a safe space that we realize, being in a foreign environment, what we need to do to be able to support each other effectively. My advocacy and my support is to identify issues that impact our Black men in our community and to see exactly how we can really find the resources, both socially and emotionally, to strengthen them for them to be better men and better fathers for their families. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clarence. And yeah, we appreciate that wonderful introduction from you. And again, interestingly, have we noticed that we have strong men in our communities, right? All our resource persons this morning are doctors. Can you beat that? Maybe the next time we're going to be having this kind of panel, we're going to be having professors, right? Maybe all across the panel. So that's interesting. Thank you so much, Dr. Clarence, once again. And Daddy Ho, over to you, sir. You're still on mute.
I'm Julius Ogunariwo, and most of you know me as Dr. O. I've been involved with the community for over 32 years. I was president of Nigerian Association 30 years ago for 4 years, and I retired from university as a research fellow, a senior fellow, and I went to real estate. And I've been a real estate agent for 24 years, and now I've slowed down. My daughter is doing most of the heavy lifting now. I'm still involved with the community. I'm a member of every association that exists within the Nigerian community. And before then, I was vice president of African and Caribbean Community Association of Calgary. And in recent times, I've been involved with one-to-one counseling of our young couples because the rate of marriage breakdown has increased significantly. And we thank Ruth House for putting something like this together because individual efforts like somebody like myself and some of the elders are doing, it's not good enough. When we have a forum like this, we can address bigger crowd. And we're hoping that whatever we are going to discuss today, there'll be benefit, people who attending will benefit. I see that the number of participants is fast rising here, and I'm hoping that it will get to the maximum very soon, because the more of people that can hear what we have to say, the better. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for that introduction. And we're happy to, draw from your wealth of experience, sir. And last but not the least, I would like to invite Dr. Charles Odame-Ankra to kindly introduce himself. And let's meet you before we jump into the questions. Just so you know, we have the questions rolling in already. We haven't said a word, but we have
Wonderful.
questions. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Daddy O and my big brother Clarence. I am the youngest on the panel, and I see them as very respected men in our community. I don't even know if I am fit to be on the same panel with them, but I am very honored to share the same platform with Dr. O and Dr. Winters for the work they continue. They inspire me. I look up to them, and I am a learner. I continue to learn from them in all humility. My name is Charles Odame-Ankra. Hail from Ghana. Been in Calgary since 2010. Did my PhD studies at the U of C. I'm a community leader. I'm the current president of the Ghana Association for the past 7 years. And I'm nearing my retirement with that position. And I am married with 2 amazing kids. The eldest just turned 16. The second born just turned 13. So I have teenagers in my house, and they think I'm the one that rather live with them, not the other way around. So it's a good blend of experience and learning fathers on this platform, and I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of insights, as we are all learners, and just sharing that insight to help us all build a very resilient families that stay together in Calgary. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Odame, as well, for that wonderful introduction. And I can tell it's going to be an interesting time we're going to have this morning. And I'd like to start from the question. I know maybe I should go a different route because I know the question. Once we start on the questions, there's no stopping us. So, but let's take a step back and ask ourselves, right? Because we want to talk about the role of Black men in the home and in the community, and we're already having questions relating to that already. And Dr. Odame, I'd like to go, I'd like you to go first, and you share with us, Dr. Charles. Tell us, who is a man, right?
Right.
Because it's good for us to even understand, from that perspective before we start talking about, the cultural dimensions of, okay, who is a Black man and all, who is a man and how, who is a Black man before we start delving into, what role they're supposed to play in the home and in the community. Because that's going to answer some of the questions I'm already getting here.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very tricky question to answer in this day and age. In describing who a man is, but I will come from our cultural perspective to define it. So in case I offend anyone on the platform by my definition, I apologize. But in my view and what I have been raised in my faith is that the man in a home is the father figure in the home who creates an environment of nurturing the next generation into greatness by being an example, by being a protector and a provider, both for the wife and for the children. So to me, that is the classical definition of what I would say a man or a father in the home, in the context of what we are describing today.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles, for that wonderful definition. I don't know, Dr. Clarence, Dadio, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do we have additions or subtraction to that, please?
Well, I will concur with some of the explanation that Dr. Charles has exhibit or explained, but also it takes basically, as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. But when we look at our individuality as men, in terms of, I would say, being westernized, we look at exactly the example of our history. And sometimes we have to reflect back from our history to really collaborate with our current environment to look at exactly what are the changes and how we can really strengthen ourselves as men to become conscious and aware of who we are as men.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Dr. Ho, do you have anything to add to that? Who is a man and how do you see the Black man?
Well, I think Charles was being politically correct when he's saying that in the environment where we are. But since this, I want to believe that most of us on this platform are Black people. And culturally, a man is not, definition of man is not, doesn't have two meanings. A man is a man, right? So if two women come together and one is playing the role of the husband in the house, she's still not a man. So from African point of view, or from pragmatic point of view, a man is a male. Let's put it that way. And we'll go on to see what the role of men should be. Even in the Bible, the role of a man in the Bible is very well defined. Is the leader of the house, right? So there are pastors on the platform, and I'm not going to go too much into the spiritual part of it. I think we can all agree that a male has a responsibility as a leader of the home. Yeah.
Thank you so much once again for that wonderful perspective. And that will take me to one of the questions that we have already. And before we come back to what the subject we're talking about the role of the Black men, there was a question that came in the course of the week. Okay, so you can see that people were already throwing the bomb, throwing the questions before we even got here today. So someone is saying that, and Dr. Ho, if you can help us here, he says, I'm just curious, are men's role in the home different because of the color of their skin? an explanation will be appreciated here. And see, it's an explanation that is being sought, not just a clarification. And I would like us to dwell on this before we jump into, the role of the, Black man in the home and in the community. Dr. Ho, over to you, sir.
Well, if the person is talking culturally in terms of roles of men, I mean, there's no painstaking that Black women who are married to white men, for example, they tend to believe that the husband is more hands-on in the house. They will wash dishes, they will do all kind of stuff like that. Whereas culturally, our men, especially when they have not traveled out, they believe that their role is just to provide money and the woman does all the heavy lifting in the house. So when they are comparing a white man from a Black man with that point of view, they think that a white man is more loving and more supportive. But if a Black man is doing what he should do, there's actually shouldn't be any difference in the role of whether you are Black or white. I happened to emigrate to England when I was just after high school. And I imbibed the culture of the whites in that sense that being hands-on and being responsible for jointly doing things at home with the wife. I picked up that culture very, very fast. When I went back to Nigeria, some people were even looking at me like, what's wrong with him? He's doing a lot of things that the wife should be doing. But that's cultural. Our boys that are brought up here are going to be behaving just like the white people will do. They are going to be supported. They're not going to sit down and cross their legs to say that the woman should do all the cooking and all this stuff. They will be supportive. So I don't see the difference between the role of a man and a woman. If the man is well cultured and exposed, that's my view.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Clarence, do you want to give any response to that question?
Well, in terms of that question, I look at it in terms of it's all of men upbringing in the household they have been. The disadvantage is the men who have been brought up by single mothers, the challenges they face in terms of identifying their masculinity to be a strong Black man, it does create emotional challenges. But when we look at the society we are currently living in, with the laws and the guidelines, to strengthen that, we need this type of a support as we're exercising here to really evoke those emotions, to really understand ourselves, to be better men, to be the better support, and to really strengthen our family with resilience in a positive light.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Charles, any addition to that as well?
Yeah, thank you very much. My senior brothers have just dealt with the question well. And I just want to add a few things. I always go back to know who you are getting married to and know how they were raised. If the woman picks a husband who was not raised to learn the fundamentals of kitchematics, you don't expect that man to overnight transform himself into a chef in your home when you get married. If a man was raised by a woman who involved both males and females with kitchen, because remember, everything is learning. You can't provide what you don't know. So how a man was raised is very, very critical. And I always say that in the olden days, our mothers focused on raising children. But in the current generation, the wives are focusing on raising their husbands. And that is a problem. Already, your husbands have been raised by another woman. And you should know how that woman raised him and know what you are bargaining for. Because if you are not raised to cook, it becomes very impractical for the man to do so. In often, I'm not giving excuses, but I'm being practical. There are women who are not raised to cook. They don't know how to cook. Luckily for them, their husbands know how to cook. So their home dynamics is different, and they love each other that way. So it's very important to have a measured expectations of the role of a man in the house. And traditionally, as Dr. O said, we are supposed to be at home supporting in a different dimension from what traditionally women are raised to do. So when there's an expectation of a dimensional shift from what we all know, this must be discussed and dealt with in a manner that will give each of the couples within the home a clear expectation. I know how to cook. My wife says, no, I love to cook. Don't come to the kitchen. I do the cooking. I know how to cook. So I don't go to the kitchen. She does the cooking. But everything that breaks in the house, I ensure that I am fixing it. So I have, this is our home. So if in your home, the man is cooking and you, the woman, you are the one who has been changing the car tires and doing the oil changes, there's nothing wrong with that. It is all dynamics of the 21st century home, which the two of you must come together and discuss it openly and try to define the roles. So the roles are becoming more dynamic, not static.
Thank you so much for that wonderful perspective, Dr. Charles. And I like the way you put it very succinct. You said it's our home, right? It's our. So if it's a joint venture, it presupposes that we're both heavily invested in making a success. So, I mean, think about it as a business, right? We set up a business together. We're working towards making sure that it makes profit, billions of dollars of profit, right? What are we going to do? We invest time, we invest energy, we invest resources. You say, okay, you are very good with administrative skills. You take care of that aspect. I am good in this aspect. You take care of it. And maybe that's where, and that's going to be, I'm going to follow up with a question to you on that. So does it mean that that will be a better approach for us to, train our kids as to their areas of strength? Because this is one of the things I've also noticed. And again, following up on some of the questions I'm also getting, is when we go to school, right? And that's the way we were trained, raised. And you tell me maybe it's different. And, our elders on the call as well. We go to school, you don't do well in a particular subject. I noticed that our parents forces us to make sure we go and learn and we do well in that particular subject, right? And you, as a matter of fact, for a lack of better time, almost bury your head or kill you until you're getting an A, scoring an A in that particular subject, right? But in reality, I thought we should be, focused on the subjects where we are doing well, rather than the ones where so that I'm not saying we should leave those ones undone, but I'm just saying that does it not point to the fact that maybe those other areas where we're doing well should be the place where our strength lies? Should that be the approach, or what do you think?
Thank you very much. As a follow-up, our home, your home is unique. These are two individuals that have a certain skill set coming together to form a team to run the home. In a home, usually the financial parameters can define a shift in the role. I want to give a typical example. If the woman is a medical doctor and she works insane hours, it's impractical for the man to sit at home, expect the woman to come back from work at 10:30 p.m. to cook and put the kids to bed. And it doesn't work. It becomes very insensitive. But if it's the other way around, just look at the dynamics in the home. And then let us go back to the basic. I always say, know the man you married, know your current situation, know who you are, which role do you play. The leadership of the man has nothing to do with the financial and role dynamics in the house. It is all coming together as a couple to decide. Babe, you're a truck driver. You drive for 17 hours a day. You get home at 11:30 p.m. It is impossible for this man to take the kids to school in the morning. So the wife is able to do that. It is impossible. So it becomes impractical for the woman also to say that, look, we are in Canada. You just came home, go to the kitchen and get yourself something to eat. Because in Canada, women don't cook for men. But what I am trying to say is that know the dynamics in your home and come meet each other halfway in a very respectful way to see what will work to run the home smoothly. Financially, role dynamics, these two things are very crucial. And usually we don't talk about them. We have an expectation. And when the expectation is not met, it leads into something else. But we should be open, transparent, and ready to engage to see how things will be done to run the home smoothly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. And Dr. Ho, over to you, sir.
We are having this discussion because we're in Canada. Because for the many years I've lived in Nigeria, I haven't had anybody put something like this together to asking for the role of men and women. It was very well defined. The problem arises that the way a man functions in Nigeria successfully, or in Africa successfully, or even the Caribbean successfully, is different from the way he functions in Canada. At home, a man is responsible mostly for the financial running of the home. Even when the wife is making a lot of money, there's this ego about, I'm the husband. There's expectation that you are going to provide. He who pays the piper dictates the tune becomes the thing. And the woman agrees that, since the man is doing all that, I will do my best to concur. When we come here, it's a different dimension. Sometimes now there's a power shift economically. The woman is even making more money than the man in some cases. And even if the woman is making less money, the tasks become more different. At home, they have a lot of house help. The woman is not going through too much trouble either, cooking for the husband, doing all kinds of stuff like that, because she might have one or two house helps. They come here, there's no house help. In some cases, the woman is not only working, she's the one that's running the errands, picking the kids from school, making sure they go to the sports or something. Where if the man is at work, the woman is still doing all that to support. So when the man comes home, it doesn't matter how much money he has put down. The responsibility has become too overwhelming for the woman. And unless the man is ready to realize that I'm no longer at home where we have all those support systems for my wife, if it doesn't change, there's bound to be serious problem. And for most of the cases where I have intervened, the question has always been, is the man ready to change? Especially in some part of our culture, the man is ready to change because it believes that I am a man and, everything should be done my way. It is not going to work. The role at home is so different from here. And only those people who are ready to shift and face the new reality of our community here, those are the ones that are going to have smooth running marriages. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, wonderful counsel. That's the counsel of an elder. And Dr. Clarence, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Well, I will concur with Dr. Ho in terms of the demographics of the African man, different from the North American men. But also when we look at it in terms of who we are as men and the jurisdictional guidelines that we are now being engaged in, which is totally different from the African continent in terms of what a man's role is. The point of looking at it to work in an equal manner is basically revisiting to set core values in the relationship that both parties can agree on. It does not matter the economic status, but it also matters the family value in the home once these core values are established, so they both can agree on these areas to making sure that the understanding is clear and it's not the old autocratic way of really thinking and figure it has to be that way. The adaptation for men migrating to North America and the judicial system is completely different because it creates an impact of emotional insecurity. And with that, it puts us into a vice of not understanding because the lack of communication, whether the woman is a doctor, lawyer, whatever it is, and the man basically is just a normal everyday individual. The core values that they need to really establish is a representation of working together to understanding the values, to making sure that the family and home dynamics is a primary example of exhibiting respect and success within the framework of that community or family values.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that wonderful perspective. So if I hear correctly, it means that the role of men is affected by the community, the environment where you find yourself, the cultural dynamics, and the specifics of each family situation. Would that be correct, Dr. Clarence?
Yes, it would be, because one of the things that I really will expand on in relationship to women in the home, when we look at it as men, we are not really educated to the point to understand that a woman's biological role is very unique. She has two emotional aspects of her life that she goes through for about 40, 50 years. And if the men are not able to understand these dynamics, to support her emotionally effectively when she goes through these two roles, it can create a level of stress and anxiety and will create confrontations because we are not really attuned to that level of understanding. Okay, here she is, she has this symptoms and she has to go through childbearing and the emotional crisis that is there. If we men are not educating ourselves, knowing that these are the support that is needed, it does not enrich the relationship to make us strong enough to support that relationship emotionally and effectively, because we bypass just looking at the structure of the socioeconomic values of the attachment of things and the acquisitions of things to think that is the value. I can say categorically, feeling that we as men, if it was not for women, we would not be here to have this conversation. But we have to understand the biological makeup of a woman, that basically what she suffers emotionally. We need to educate ourselves to strengthen those emotions and support them, that we can establish those core values that will allow our life to be much easier and much more comfortable. And we live longer, not having to go through the adversities of the system that is designed to put us into these negative situations.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Osa, and from some of the responses I've heard from you and Dr. Clarence and Dr. Charles as well, is it not safe for us to, position ourselves where we raise a holistic child? Because knowing that the dynamics, you can't predict, you don't know what the future is going to be, right? You don't know what the strength, the future partner of these children are, they're going to be. You don't know if it's going to be a medical doctor and you are going to be the teacher as a man, that kind of a thing. Is it not safe for us to focus on making sure that, kids are well grounded such that wherever they find themselves, they're able to thrive, rather than just raising them to say, okay, you know how to fix the tire, you don't know how to cook, you know how to do the gardening, you don't know how to do the lawn, that kind. Is it not safe for us to just, be trained, for the children to be trained in all aspects of life, such that wherever they find themselves, like yourself and like Dr. Charles, Dr. Clarence, and every other person on the call, they are able to survive? Is it safe that way?
It is, but that's in theory, yes. But in practice, it's a different kettle of fish. But the grounding that a child has in the formative years of life go a long way. I have lived in 3 continents. I started life in Nigeria. I studied in UK. I went back to Nigeria. Now I'm living in North America. But the grounding that I had was when my mother had 2 boys and 2 girls. And she would sit on the small stool and line 4 of us behind her where she was cooking. And she would say to the girls that you need to know how to cook so that you can cook for your husband. And I would say that, why are you wasting our time? That I'm a man, they're going to cook for me. So why should I come and line up here to learn how to cook? And she would say, well, you need to know how to cook in case your wife decides to punish you with food. You just jump into the kitchen and get it done yourself. So I learned to do that at that formative stage. Until today, anybody who visits us in a house will know that I cook. And it turns out that I got married to a Caribbean woman who normally would not know how to cook African food. But luckily, she went to Nigeria and stayed for 15 years and she knows how to cook. But the grounding I had at that point more or less prepared me for life. It's no point teaching a child that at the age of 20, 21 when it's not well grounded. On the other hand, my mother was a bit of a troublesome woman, and there were times we thought that, maybe daddy should have done some smacking to get her right. But he told us that the woman is a treasure, that once she touches the woman, she has reduced the value of that woman, and he couldn't see himself again being the same man, loving the same woman that way. She said that the one thing is that no matter what your wife does to you, don't ever raise your hand to do that. That was at the very, very formative stage. And up to today, I know that no matter what my wife does, I could get away with what my dad would do. He would pick his agbada and walk out of the house when he's so annoyed. He will go and vent, and then he will come back and as if nothing happened. I got that again from my dad at that early stage. So the way we behave as fathers is going to impact on our children. Sometimes we may think that, we are just smacking, we are just something. We don't know that what they are picking from there is going to help them. We are now been married for 55 years. You know that there's no way that the woman will not have offended, and there's no way that I will not have offended. But from those things that I learned and what my wife learned, we've been able to live together 55 years. Nobody had walked away for 1 week. So for the benefit of the women that are on the platform, I also want them to hear what I'm saying, because we are talking about men, but it takes two to tango, right? A good man also needs a good woman. A man is going to play his part, but the woman must also play something. So in summary, like I said, there's no formula where to say, okay, now I'm going to get you ready so that whatever continent you go into, if you're a good person, you are well-grounded, no matter where you go, you are going to function properly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. O, for that, thoughts. I will want to quickly answer some of the questions on the chat because I can see they're already building up. And Dr. Charles, somebody's asking a question here. They're talking about observing other cultures. Is it possible for us to have structures that helps teach and showcase different career paths to our kids, such as scholarships, vocational, from high school, rather than the traditional everybody has to be a doctor? I would assume that's what this individual is saying. Is it possible that, or do we have such structures currently, Dr. Charles?
Yes, we do. Well, we do have them. But you see, what has become an issue back home in Ghana, where I was raised, you didn't only learn from your father. You did learn from your uncle. You did learn from mom and dad side, the uncles and the aunties. Like, it's a community that raises the kid. So sometimes when you're even born, I'll say, hey, you see your uncle, he's a lawyer. You can grow up to become just like your uncle. You can grow up so you start setting up model expectations for the kids. In North America, most of the time we come here and we forget how we used to raise kids back home. You know what is dangerous? Most of the people who are complaining that their husbands are thick-headed, they are not changing in North America, they are not helping them, are raising their children in the same way. They have their sons at home. They don't teach them how to cook. They don't teach them to clean. They do everything for them. And you are expecting them to grow one day to become husbands that help their wives? No. And your daughters are not learning how to cook. They are not learning how to clean. Do you expect them to one day become wives that will learn to cook and support their husbands? The answer is no. We need a shift. One of the things that has become problem in North American homes, that for African homes that I have seen, is there's a power struggle as who is the head. The man is the head. A company that does not have a CEO is bound to collapse. The same principle works. God has defined that the man is the head of the house. As to whether he makes a million or he makes zero, that position has been given and granted to the man. And that means that he's supposed to lead. It's a responsibility. You're supposed to lead your wife, lead your children. You're supposed to be a good listener. You need to be a learner. You need to learn. You can't give and impact your children with what you don't have. So when we come to North America and we don't understand the system, we need to be ready to learn about the new system. We need to learn about culture, career expectations for these children. You know, it is in Canada again. I realized that plumbers are millionaires. You know, back home in Ghana, plumbers are not millionaires. It's Canada. I realized that mechanics. Oh my God. And I asked myself, why did I waste my life to be in the classroom for 17 years doing a PhD in chemistry? You all know how difficult that is. I could have become an electrician and by now I'll be rocking in a Lamborghini or something because I'm hardworking. So there are the opportunities here and the career path here for our children. It's so unique. We need to guide them. We need to seek help for our children very early and model them and guide them in a way that, because most of the children complete high school, they don't even know what they want to do. And it's a very serious thing. So yes, that question is true. We need to model. There will be leadership in the home from the fathers. You know, you can be a present father, but you are absent. Don't just be a present father in the house. They see you morning and you go to sleep at night. You are not teaching them anything. They are not learning anything from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful perspective, sir. And Dr. Hosa, I know you want to weigh on that, but there's a question here that maybe a comment. I also want you to weigh on this and also address this as well. Yemi says something about hypocrisy is the reason why marriage break down in African communities. Most older Black women who ruin their marriage encourage younger women to join them. Sadly, most of these older women are pastors. So I know you want to weigh on the previous question. You weigh on that and also respond to this as well, sir. Thank you.
Can this person expatiate on what he means by it? I got confused somewhere along the line about what the older women are doing to the younger ones. I don't understand.
Yeah, I think the person is saying most older women, and they are encouraging the younger women to join them because the older women, allegedly ruin their marriage, and they're also encouraging the younger women, to toe the same line again.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that's a matter of interpretation.
Right.
I'm going to bring out something. Somebody who knew I'm going to come on this panel brought up something to my attention 2 days ago. And with all due respect, I don't know how many women are Nigerians on the platform now, how many are from other culture. They made an observation that some of our kids here who are brought here, they were not born here, but they came here to do university or high school and eventually became ready to be married now. They'll find that some Nigerian men, Nigerian boys, when they choose to marry Black women, they prefer to go and marry women from Zimbabwe, from Kenya, as opposed to Nigerians. And they are saying that the difference is this. They are finding that those women from those places, they're looking more like their own mother who raised them. They are more or less like more old-fashioned, if you want to put it that way. Whereas their contemporaries who are Nigerians are saying that, yeah, what a man can do, a woman can do, flexing muscle. Now, he said those women from the other cultures are reminding these boys of what their mothers were doing to their dad. It doesn't mean that they are being sissy or something like that, but there's some level of submissiveness that men expect from women. This is, I've told you my background already. I don't believe in a man who, oppressing a woman, but there's still some level of submissiveness that men train. And when they see that, when they see how their mothers have done very well with their parents because of this kind of attributes of these women, when they find women from other culture who are doing that, they tend to want to go there. And I know about 3 or 4 of these boys who have married from those other culture, So women need to listen that it's not a case of when these women that I believe this person is talking about, the message may be coming to her as these older women are teaching the younger ones, to accept being second-class citizens. But that's not the message I got. When these older women, most of what they are saying, they are telling you, please be submissive to your husband so that you can have a faith. Even the Bible says that the role of the woman, the Bible says women respect your husbands, right? But in return, it said, man, love your woman. So the word of respect is not cultural, even it is biblical. Even if you're a Muslim, the system, I went to a Muslim school and I still know that this culture of respecting the husband is both in Christian and Islamic something. So those are the things I want to raise. And I don't agree necessarily. I think that's a problem is misinterpreting the message from the older women. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ho, for that perspective. Someone is saying here, my husband is a born and bred Ghanaian man, and he washes the dishes, he does the laundry, and that is an agreement with you. Absolutely. I come from a background of 3 boys, and the last born is a girl. So, and Dr. O will tell you, if you're raised in a proper Nigerian, African family, you must know how to do everything. Right. I changed the diaper for my younger sister because she was the last born. My parents are at work. My elder brother, I do kitchen, work very well. I do that together with my siblings. All of us knows how to cook. There's nothing I can't do in the house. As a matter of fact, and I hope my wife doesn't see this one day, I cook better, fried rice than my wife. So I hope I don't go hungry as a result of this. But typically, when it's time to do that in the home, they always, okay, no, daddy, you go do it, you go do it, you go do it. Because I know I learned that, different, and that's one of the benefits of what I think I had, Dr. O saying and also Dr. Charles talking about you being able to function. If you have that benefit of the proper upbringing. And I'm going to read a comment here from Lydia. It says, I really appreciate the emphasis on how the man was raised and also how the woman was also raised. It's all about understanding and communication. Aiden says, money runs the home, but love keeps the home. That's what I had. And there is a question here coming. And Dr. Clarence, I would like you to go first. Someone is saying, maybe there's a misunderstanding of some of the perspective that we've shared, but it's very clear to me. Someone is still asking, so who is the head of the home? You cannot have 2 leaders, but I think Dr. Ho also answered that just some few moments ago. But Dr. Clarence, do you want to take a shot at this question that just came in? Who is the head of the home? Because there seems to be confusion again.
The head of the home is being identified as the male, as well as the leadership. Leadership can go both ways in the framework of having a home instead of a house. So being the man, being the leader, the level of values that he exhibits that will really reflect on the children gives a sense of value of what true leadership is. And with that respect, in terms of how the collaboration of conversation between the man and the woman in the home, it gives a level of definition that clear leadership with honesty give respect in both ways of understanding. In this case, when we look at our lives as men, we realize in North America, we are lacking the advantage of understanding how the system works. So we find ourselves vulnerable, and we find ourselves in a case where we find male emasculation is a big issue. I find in the biracial families, there is a major problem with the children of biracial families. And it is a concern that when we do not really look at the legacy of the history to really strengthen those families, it becomes a gap that result in negative deficiencies because it lacks identity in terms of strengthening that leadership and the resiliency to focus with clarity to make sure the cohesiveness of the family understand the fundamentals to be able to support each other. So with that, I say the role of a man basically is the primary role as from a leadership perspective, but the collaboration with the partner is also unique and important to achieve those goals, to set the examples that the children can be of benefit in terms of making conscious decisions and to be successful in their lives.
Thank you so much once again for that wonderful perspective. And I think some of the other questions that came in we've addressed them. Is there anything wrong with a man being a house husband? I think that has been addressed. Like each family dynamics is specific, and Dr. Charles already spoke to that. We've addressed who is supposed to be the head here. Both of our speakers have spoken to that as well. Someone is asking, how do families set a vision? This is coming from Yvonne. Dr. Charles, maybe you go first, and we have that you also weigh in here. How do families set a vision?
Can you take the question again? I didn't hear you.
So the question says, how do families set a vision? And maybe there's a follow-up question from the same guests here saying life is in seasons, menopause or depression after childbirth isn't understood by men. How can they be supported to understand their wives? So maybe you take the two, then we also have the Dr. Ho and maybe Dr. Clarence also weigh in if they want to. So the first one is, how do families set a vision? And secondly, how can men be supported to understand and also support their wives because of the seasons that they have to go through, menopause, depression after childbirth, and things like that?
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Dr. O said something. I just want to reiterate and I delve into the question. See, the Bible didn't ask women to love their husbands. Okay? The Bible did not ask women to love their husband. They said they should
respect.
They should respect. And
Yeah,
the Bible instructed men to love their wives as Christ did. It is something that we downplay, you know. So usually I make fun that when my wife tells me, "Oh, I love you," I want to see that love demonstrated through her humility and respect.
Yes.
But I tell her I love her, and I also demonstrate it through my actions towards her. So we have to go back. If we say we account for the religious perspective, we can't pick and choose. We look at it from an empathetic point of view that the man is the head of the house. He's supposed to love the wife. The wife is supposed to submit and respect the man. Now, on the issue of setting up a vision, I do believe in dialogue. I'm a strong believer in dialogue. Look, women are emotionally intelligent, brilliant, and the things they have up in their heads, oh my God, when you empower them and you allow them, they make that man look like a superhuman. He goes out there, he delivers, and then comes back home feeling like the hero he is born to be, because the woman is able to empower the man to fulfill his masculinity. So when you begin to diminish that masculinity at home, okay, that positive masculinity at home, when there's a power struggle, he begins to look and begins to withdraw. And when that happens, that affects you, the wife, because you don't get the care and love you want from him, because he becomes a powerless man to be able to even offer you the love and attention that you crave. The question of when you get sick, mood changes and stuff like that, I have said this over and over. Men need to be told. Sometimes you just need to prompt us. It isn't that we don't want to do it. Sometimes it's a lot of prompt. Oh, I'm not feeling too well this morning. Can you get me some tea? Look, we will do it. Okay. So always, I have said, it's communication. It is, I'm not a woman to know what you go through during your menses. I am not a woman to know what you go through due to premenopause. You have to educate me in a loving way. Bring me into that space. Show me how I should support you, and I will do it.
Thank you so much for
But
that.
usually, most women, I'm sorry if I say anything wrong here. Most women assume that the man is supposed to know what they're going through, and we don't know. So bring us into that space, educate us in a loving way, and we will be able to meet you, work with you to achieve the level of care and support and attention that you desire.
I will concur with Dr. Charles in terms of saying that that's exactly where education of our Black men need to be in understanding that to create a more emotionally supportive relationship, that the woman feel valued emotionally, that you understand who and what she is and what she endures, that you get the respect that she's observing your support to enrich her quality of life and not feeling like she's a victim. And this is one of the emotional disparities we have in our society today. We look at not understanding the biological makeup to support, to learn, and to support it effectively.
Well, I don't need too much project.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Clarence. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I know the chat, room is buzzing with questions and lots of them. I'm just trying to scroll through so that we can manage our time here. And Dr. Ho, someone is saying, how can Black men navigate and overcome ego-related challenges and the perception that Black women are too difficult in order to effectively play their roles in the home and community? And someone also, followed up in that same question and says, a 30-year-old Black man once told, my 20-year-old son that white women are very easy in the beginning, very suppliant. However, in the end, they are wolves, dangerous and vindictive, allegedly. He went on to say that Black women seems difficult at the beginning, where when all is done, they are the best females to live with. How do you, I know you have diverse experience, right? I don't think that's the case in Europe, because you've been married for 55 years. You've been married to a white, woman.
Not white woman, no. I'm married to a Caribbean
Oh, to a
woman.
Caribbean, right?
Black, yes.
Okay, so maybe we can draw from your experience and also from years of counseling other people.
Well, that's it comes to the same points. When I was president of Nigerian Association, and I saw that a lot of our young men were following Caucasian women, I said to the members that it's time that men will take the boys, their children, our sons to one side and talk to them, and their wives, our wives should go and talk to their daughters, educating them about the cultural differences, right? Because at home, in those days at least, A woman doesn't go to a man to say, come and befriend me. It's the woman, it's the man that will make the first move, right? And also in my days, if a man went to a woman and asked her to befriend once and she said yes, you know that that's a cheap woman. You know, you run back. The woman is supposed to turn you down about 2 or 3 times and you keep going back, right? Things have changed. So we have to tell you, I said, we as men, women, you tell your daughters that if a guy comes to you and so something, if you like him, don't pretend you don't like him, because when you say no, he may not come back. It's not like his father who will go 3 times, right? Because the children had the habit. In actual fact, he's so embarrassed to come back again because he feels that he's been rejected. And for the boys, we are also saying that this is how the women are wired. They are different from white women. So if you get a rejection, don't think that that's the end of the world. This is the way. I say, well, white women have a way of attracting, especially black men. There's one of my friend's friends, the girl said, I saw him, it's a white girl. He said, I saw him on the dancing floor, sitting down. I liked him. I walked across from my seat, went to him, asked him for a dance. We danced on the floor, and when we left the place, I brought him back to where I was sitting, right? A black woman will not do that. And they got married, right? So we are so different the way we do something. But eventually, this person is very right. The kind of perseverance a black woman is going to give, white women don't have time for that. Most of them don't have time for that. You lose your job, you lose your job, right? There's no this thing about perseverance. We are going to struggle until we get back on our feet. Culturally, this is how your mothers behave. And they've imbibed that in you to persevere with your husband. The whites don't have the same culture. I'm not running at something. It's just a matter of cultural differences. It's very, very important that people know our cultural differences and tend to work with it. There's one thing I was going to say about vision. Traditionally, it's a man that sells the vision in the house. But the man must provide an enabling environment for the woman to contribute, because women are very, very smart, like Charles said. For the longest time, women have been deprived. They've been oppressed, including here. When we came here about 35 years ago, to find a woman CEO, you have to go through a lot of something. Right there now, there are so many women CEO, because once they've been given the opportunity, the women run with it and they do a better job in most cases than men do. It's just a matter of being provided opportunity. So if you're a man and you can't sell the vision, don't prevent your wife from doing that. Listen to what your wife has to say. I have a case in my hand now, which I've been feeling. The woman is working so hard, and economically they should be doing well. But the guy who is supposed to, but the woman left it to the man to set the vision. But the man is failing so woefully that all the woman's efforts is not working, because the division of labor, the woman believes that it's my husband who should play the role of leadership. And the man is not playing the role of leadership, and is not listening to the wife. It's not bringing the out of ego. She can't say, look, I know I'm the leader, but I know you are more aggressive when it comes to business and stuff like that. You have to provide an enabling something. Some men even think they feel inferior when their wives are doing well. They don't want to take advice because it's not coming from them. All that has to be worked out. Women have to do, and women, when you are providing those things, don't show that you are the boss. Don't show that I'm the one that has all the ideas, because when you do that, the man feels inferior. Find a way of bringing your ideas in a very enabling society. It's not when something fails. You see, I tell you, You see now, you did it. It didn't work. I tell you, you should have done it my way. Don't do that. Even if it doesn't work, find a way of making him still feel proud of what he has done, even though it has failed, and bring your own idea so it can be tried. We can discuss on this forever and forever, but we don't have time. But I hope that few things we are saying here will resonate with both the women and the men. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay.
I'll follow up with Dr. Holt's comment in terms of love conquers everything, as the Bible says. And when we look at our lives in terms of what defines love in a relationship with two people, it has to be with clarity, it has to be with honesty, and it has to be with integrity. When we look at our life and really validating relationships, the sacrifice, like Dr. Holt experience has gone through, is not an easy, smooth road. There's always going to be the challenge of rocky environment and disagreements. The awareness of having conversation constructively without judgment is also a value that each person has the value of listening carefully. One of the things I find that there's a lot of women who are infatuated with a lot of men, but the point of it, they have history that basically the infatuation overpowers the relationship in a sense where the history is not being identified. And when the relationship blossoms, the consciousness of saying, this is my fear, this is my anxiety, this is my history, to really get a true relationship on track is a point of being clear and open and honest, that you feel valued as a man in that relationship, supporting the woman and the family, that can exhibit the strength that is needed. And it comes back to true leadership. How does a man and a woman exhibit what the condition, not the condition, but what love is within themselves, that they feel energized each time having a conversation? Because that is the enrichment of what a relationship evolves in all aspects as true leadership.
Thank you so much for that wonderful perspective. And please, I would like to quickly, Daddy Freeze, are you still there? I know he had his hand up for a long time. Daddy Freeze, are you still there?
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So a quick one, just not to take your time. I feel I've seen so many culture, like the Indians, the Chinese, the Philippines. I see this problem of this topic about man, woman, role of woman and man in the house is basically common with the Black people. And what I found is that, and why is the problem is, and so far, women, men, African women, or whatever, comes down to this side of the world and they decide to abandon their African heritage, African culture, the problem will continue to linger. I realized that most of these Indians, it doesn't happen. Nobody needs to school the women on why they need to be submissive to their husband. They don't. Even if I've seen a woman that I work with, and the woman bought a house, cash down, and he surrendered everything to the husband. And the man is not even working. Something like that is rare within the Black community. We can't see that. It's definitely not going to happen. So it's just something that until we get into our head and we try to pass it to our children, that no matter what you are, you can't abandon your African culture. We are Africans. We have our skin is like, it's brown, we're Black. So there are some things we need to do. We can't just abandon what our forefathers, our grandparents do that make their marriage work. And because we're in advanced country, we're in Canada, we're just going to abandon everything. Everybody knows what you need to do. If I take myself, for example, I compromise, I sacrifice a lot to make my wife, my family happy. But when you have a woman that is not willing to be submissive and help and do his part, saying that we're in Canada, that's equality, we are here. If that thing, we always bring problem. We need to get that out, either from the man or from the woman. Don't talk about equality. How are our forefathers doing it? Just love, be submissive, let's support each other, and that's all. We don't need, see, Indians, Philippines, they don't have all these problems we are having. We shouldn't be discussing in 2024 the marriage issues. If you go to the court, you see a lot of divorce like cases going there, and most of them are from the Black community. It shouldn't be by now. We should have gone far. We should be discussing building businesses, building, living generational wealth. Those are what we should be discussing, not marriage issues with man and woman. We should be past that. We are in the age of AI. Things are moving fast. Africans are still far behind. We are still talking about things that we shouldn't. Thank you.
With all due respect, Chokwe, let me quickly say this much. What is it? That the phrase, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. It is not true that Indians and those people do not have that kind of problem. We tend to think that they don't have that kind of problem because we are not so there are not lots of lots of Indians now who are running to the problem. It didn't used to be so. Life is changing all the time, and when you are in Rome, you have to look like the Romans do. Africans, yes, like I'm an African, and we've just discussed that, but we shouldn't just say that what our grandfathers did and worked, because our grandfathers and fathers, they work in a different environment from where we are working. So we need to see what is working here. Don't let us think that when it fails, it's because the woman is not following, it's not respecting. Like we've said all along, everybody has his own role to play, but that sort of thing is not working because the woman is not being submissive. Sorry about interrupting there.
Thank you so much for that as well. So let me quickly read some of the comment. I know we're because of our time, I see the hands up, and we're going to get to that. I think Biba was saying, considering that many men have not been raised with the skills to effectively lead, how can we address the power struggle that arises when educated women who also possess the leadership qualities? I think that has been addressed already.
Yes.
And I think Dr. O's, spoke to that. If the woman has the qualities, then please let them be. And because at the end of the day, if a ship sinks, right, everybody dies.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who is the captain, or so that has been addressed. The failure of families is creating all kind of relationships in the world now. That's true. For a man to get a wife that goes above and beyond, he needs to be present. He will get the respect. What we sow is what we reap. I hear you on that one. Thanks for that perspective. And someone is emphasizing the need for everyone, male, female, whatever, to have the required skills for survival. And I think, our resource persons have emphasized that already. Domestic chores, everybody needs to learn all these things, making income. We've talked about collaboration. Again, someone is saying here, Western culture believe that everyone in marriage is equal. African culture understand man as the head of the family. Therefore, it is disrespectful for a wife to regard a man as equal. I don't know if Dr. Charles, Dr. Clarence, do you want to speak to this before we go to the hands that are raised?
All right.
Culture, African culture, equality between the man and woman.
There is toxic ideologies that we import into our communities without understanding the full concept of it. Dr. Oja said the grass is always greener on the other side. When you get very close, and I've been very close to white families that have been married for 30, 40, 50 years, and the man is still the man. You go to their home, the man is still the man. You don't, what I want us to disentangle is leadership in the home and roles in the home. These are two different things. The woman sees the man as the head of the house. And sometimes you have very strong, powerful women. When you go into their home, they let the man speak. Oh, let me discuss it with my husband. I'll get back to you. you always put the man first, even if you have the best answers in the world, even if you have the best way of figuring it out, you put your man first. And your man always puts you first. Oh, really? You want us to do this? Wait, Mama is not around. Wait, when we will discuss it and we'll get back to you. When the man projects the we instead of I, and the woman projects, let me talk to daddy, I'll get back to you. It creates a perception of respect in the home. The children learn from it. It is not different from other cultures. Look, I get very close to kids. I thought that it was only black people that spank their children. White people do too. They spank their kids. They spank their kids. But we have imported toxic ideologies into our community. Oh, you don't need a man in Canada. Oh, as a woman, you are making money. Why do you have to submit to a man? These extreme toxic ideologies is eroding the family structure very quickly. How come people were married in Ghana and Nigeria, Ethiopia, but the moment they come to Canada, the marriage breaks down? Have we asked ourselves why? Because we are importing something we don't understand. Before I land quickly, I want to add one last thing. Learn that your home is unique. It can never be identical to another man's home. So if you are in your home, be kind, treat each other with respect. And I do not condone abuse in any form. Some women abuse their husbands. Some husbands abuse their wives. It was both ways. Usually women are more vocal about the man abusing them than men. There are a lot of men in this country who have been abused by their wives, but for the fear of shame, bottling it down. So it is not one-way scenario. We need to ensure that we are treating each other with a lot of respect, with a lot of peace building activities in the home. And that starts with the woman, and that starts with the man. And let us avoid toxic ideologies. Let us avoid them.
Thank you so much. And I'll quickly go to the hand that is raised. Isheolua, I know you've had your hands up for a little while. Isheolua, do you want to unmute yourself and let's hear your perspective to this? Is it a question or your thoughts?
It's a thought.
Okay.
My experience in Canada since my family came is what I'm going to use. My family came, and the first thing that my choir leader, when we visited, and this is part of what is destroying marriages, weak minds and people who already had preconception of what they would do to their husband when they come here or their wife is what is causing more problems, which I haven't seen any of the speakers touch on, and they can address it after I spoke. We went for a dinner with my choir leader, and I was saying, oh, good. Now I have to go do my degree and have my master's since my family are here. And right away, that lady said, don't listen to him. You can go to school too. She was talking to my wife, and she said, don't let him take advantage of you. And this woman and the pastor, Mrs., before my wife came, my family came, what they were telling me is that don't let your wife go mix with the wrong people. Look at me, I'm with my husband. I'm with my husband. We have our family. Look at our children. And immediately I told that choir leader, I said, don't say this to me. Look at what you're saying. Is this how a choir leader should do? That being said, my pastor's wife will always say, why are you talking to your children like that? Don't behave like African father. Don't behave like African man. You are in Canada now. And these children we are talking about, they are misbehaving in the public. They are setting a phone and dancing and dressing anyhow. And when I talk to them, they are always telling me, don't do this in presence of those children. Another thing is that fast forward, I've had reasons to go to, my wife gone to report me to different pastors. And what they have tried to teach me is that why don't you, the issue was that I expect my wife that I leave this church, you need to go to this church with me. And she said, I'm not going to that church with you. And I said, is it because we had issues and the pastor's wife supported you? How did they know you before you came to Canada? You come to Canada. Now I've been with you for 24 years, going to 28 years. Now you choose to go with them instead of me. And the other pastors that are not that member church of that church will tell me, let her go there now. Why are you behaving like Nigerian men? One even told me, my husband, I'm so stubborn. If my husband was like you, his church will not be standing. So those are the areas that and we are not looking at. Another thing is mother-in-laws. Some children are the one dictating what their mother will do. I stopped talking to in our Yoruba language. They say when things are going too hard, they say don't talk to your family in marriage. But when things are going too hard, go to your in-laws or find a leader. So when I talk to my mother-in-law, she will tell me, I know my daughter, I know my daughter, I know my daughter. Now, before I left Nigeria, she was saying, I know my daughter. When I left, she was saying, now my daughter is the bad one. When my daughter and my children came here, that they can give her money, she don't really depend on me. She's now saying, I'm the bad one. And when she spoke to me on the Easter Monday of this year, till now, she's not spoken. Her daughter has told her what to do. So as much as we are thinking about respect, we are thinking about culture, we have the underlying parasites that are also, this doesn't have anything to do with washing plate, doing dishes, making money. Most of these men, all we're asking for is respect. And what is leadership? Leadership is what God created, or a position that you are qualified for. It's different from you. When you make big money, you have the intellectual and proportional capability to lead in that aspect. A doctor or a rich man in a city where there is a king will not say because he's making money or sponsoring that city to come and become the king, or the king say. They will only give him a position to help in those areas. So we should not mix leadership with your professional or ability to be able to manage things. So all the underlying things, the in-laws, all the pastors, all the friends, and what the woman himself, his friends, or the woman himself is learning or has prepared. And one thing I want to bring up is that most of the things that our wife says that we do in Nigeria that will punish them and they are coming here to revenge, most of it, we didn't do anything. If you don't beat your wife or you don't punish your wife financially, I don't see a woman saying you abuse him in Africa, because it is very well known that we in Africa, men have their role, women have their role, and men make decision and their decision is final. So on those decisions that we have been making and we have stood on our feet, and back then, and you come here and you say, oh, I have freedom now, you can't talk to me like that. You can't tell me not to go here, not to come here. I don't think that is nice. So we are only sectioning our discussion on one part. We should sit down and really draw a graph and look at the other parasites that are eating our marriage, especially all those pastors' wives and all those pastors. If marriage is unique, and nobody can use their marriage to dictate any other marriage. If a man says that, my wife once told me, I know a woman who goes to church and the husband goes to another church. I said, if the man allows that, in my marriage, I am not allowing that. But this woman that is saying, I want to do whatever I want, I also want you, he wants me to financially be responsible as the head. But he wants to do whatever she wants. If you want to do whatever you want, why can't we do 50-50? So let's look at the underlying thing. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Sorry. I'm going to allow Mama D quickly jump in here to share some. I have some comments in response to some of the things you said. Maybe, sometimes presentations can cause a problem, because when you use the word punish your wife and all those kind of things, it sounds a bit different to me, but I will allow Mama D go first, okay?
Thank you so much. There's a lot of chats on the YouTube platform as well. Because we've reached capacity on Zoom, people are chatting on YouTube. Somebody says, I wonder, the captain in the home remains the man, no matter how highly placed the woman is. Respect is how a man interprets love. A man will do anything for a woman that respects him. Another person says, I'm not saying women should not respect their husbands. Just saying respect does not automatically mean the husband will do anything for her. I have seen men advantaged. I've seen men take advantage of that respect and abuse her. There's lots of conversations going on YouTube as well. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much. And yeah, so and this is just a general comment, not just in response to what Isholu said. Sometimes, presentation is everything. And one of the things I think we've established in our previous sessions, and there are so many people here that were there, we've come to realize that sometimes, and most of the time really, we see things the way we are, not necessarily the way they are. Okay, so communication is very important. There's a right way, there's a wrong way to say the right things, and that could also get things lost in translation, and the other party sees it in a different way. I don't think we are out to punish our partners. I will not punish my spouse, and I don't expect my wife to punish me. So some of the things that our parents have also done in the past doesn't mean that those things are correct. There are things that they've done, there are tons of things that we need to learn from them. There are things that we need to relearn. There are some that we need to unlearn. At the end of the day, we want to be a better version of the past, really. And I think that's where, all this is driven. But I don't know, before I go to Ablaze, I don't know if any of our resource persons want to respond to the last speaker.
I wanted to just add a small perspective here. I talked about the we factor in the house, the us. Sometimes I do remit my siblings and say, this is from my wife to you. Because I know that back home, they don't understand what is happening here. The very moment it's like, oh, it's my brother. My brother is sending me money. My brother is sending me money. Had it not been that woman, I'm sure he would have been even doubled it or tripled it. So as a wife, if you're sending money to your parents, so, oh, my husband and I said we should send this to you. You still put your husband in an authority position. Then they know they cannot play you. Let me tell you one thing. The children we give birth to in the house, don't they play us? They play us. They know who is the weaker link when they want something done. And daddy's favorite. They will always send daddy's favorite to get something done for them. Mommy's favorite. Send the last baby. It's mommy's special one. Whatever that he requests, he will get it done. The same thing happens to the external factors my brother is talking about. There are external, like the parent of the wife, the parents of the husband. They know that this is my child. We can emotionally connect with her. Say, this $100 your husband is sending us is not enough. Now things I had in Ghana, the Ghana cedi rate has just dropped. Things are expensive. Please, you have to increase it. So they come from an emotional point of view, and that is where the temptation is. The very moment you begin to send them money on the blind side of your husband, you have betrayed the other spouse. Sometimes you don't even need to disclose the amount you're sending them, but you prompt them. Babe, I sent something to my parents. They're struggling. I said something small to them to up what we are doing. But I told them it is coming from you. Which kind of man would not like to hear this, that you did something for your parents and you told them it is coming from him? It is just beautiful. And it should be vice versa. It should be the way we portray each other to our extended families. And I have warned wives and husbands. We can forgive our wives and our husbands, but our families will not forgive them if they do the same thing to them. We shouldn't forget that our families don't love our spouses. Our families don't care about our spouses. They only care about you. So when your wife does something to you, be careful you don't tell your family. Else they will begin to hate that person and things will begin to get messy. There will be no going back. The same way, if you go and tell your mom that this is what is happening, your mother will begin to resent your husband because your mom does not love your husband. Your mom loves you. So we should be careful the information we relay outside our home. This does not mean we should condone abuse. This does not mean we should allow our spouses to abuse that we need to seek help. I am talking about the little things. that happens at home. It's not everything we need to take out of our home. Protect each other. My last comment to our brother also is that we have good people and we have bad people. You can't change a bad person. So there are some people, there's nothing you can do to impress or change them. That is their nature. So we need to know where to draw the line and buy our own sanity. Sometimes you can't stay in marriage and die. Marriage is not a death sentence. If it is not working out, it is good that you all come together respectfully and separate. So everybody will have their peace of mind. We need to be there to make each other better, not worse. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. And I'll quickly allow Ablaze to unmute and have a go, please.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. It's morning for me in Calgary. I've listened to the discussions with great interest, and it's good that we're having this discussion. I posted some questions on the chat, and I believe those will be answered. But I have two comments to talk about. One of them is so I saw someone put in a comment that how did you put it? Respect is not automatic, and respect is earned. I beg to differ because again, looking at the template, for me, like even when the Bible says, it says, that the man should, love the wife, and the wife should respect the husband. However, if we look at it from who is going to go first, then it becomes a chicken and an egg situation, right? So somebody has to. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the woman, doesn't necessarily have to be the man. The more mature person in the relationship, that's the way I look at it. The more mature person in the relationship, right, has to start. Naturally, if the man loves the woman, respect will come. And if the woman respects the man, the love will come. So, I mean, from our African background, I'm going to use the Yorubas, for example. If you remember, the praise singers, right? When they come in and then they you go for a party and they begin to play the talking drum and all that, and they begin to sing your praises, sing the praises of the king. Before you know it, the person starts to put hand into the pocket, brings out every money the person has, and at some point, there's even a story of somebody, a man who had given everything he had to these praise singers and was already removing his shirt. I'm just trying to tell you how powerful, should I say, respect is. I put myself in the position of a man. If somebody respects me so much, I can go to any lengths, including borrowing money, to make sure that that person is comfortable. That person is I think that's the way God has designed it. Now, coming to still part of my comment, it's also going to remove issues like, oh, my money. So coming to finance now, I also think that the way we raise our speakers have already spoken about how we raise our children, which is what I'm trying to do with my own children. There's this African way of raising children. I'm just going to be generic about it. Maybe it doesn't apply to everybody. Where the man is raised to be the giver, like the person, this guy is always the one that must be the breadwinner and the giver and all that. And then the women are raised to always receive. Now, it becomes a problem in the North American culture because I have seen women that are my friends, even when I was back in Nigeria, I used to work, that have said, even before they got married, and I won't be surprised if they have problem in their marriages now, that the person I get married to, his money is our money. However, my money is my money. I don't blame them. It is a function of upbringing. Now, if those kind of people come to North America, where now suddenly the woman is not anymore, right, and the man is not, then it becomes a problem because the man is still expected, you understand, to foot everything, and then the woman keeps her money, forgetting that it is a joint effort, and it goes both ways as well. And then the last thing I want to say, because of time, I don't want to take all the time, is I read a book by Miles Monroe, which is very applicable here. And I'll put in some quotes. Again, the way I strongly believe that men and women were made, and they were made equal by the Creator, by God. However, they were made equal, slightly different, to serve different purposes. And then God put the man as the head. Now, if you understand that as a man, you know that, yes, you are the head. It doesn't mean that you have to oppress the other person because both of you are joint heads. You're actually equal, but you're just put as the head because, like one of our speakers has said, he has to be a CEO of the business, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the CEO might have the strongest pull in that business. It could be the CFO that has the functional power. Let me use that word, not positional power now, the functional power. However, somebody has to lead. Somebody has to lead, right? And one other thing that men have and women have is that the men tend to have authoritative power. So a man, and that's why I believe the Bible talks about respect. Authoritative power, likes respect. The authoritative power is what is seen. However, women have influence power. And I tell you that influence power is much more potent and much more dangerous than authoritative power because influence power, you don't know when it's acting. There are many presidents, there are many people, many men that are taking decisions that it was actually the woman's decision. Like all of us outwardly, we see it as the man's decision, but it's actually the woman's decision because it was an influence from the woman. Once both parties understand the power dynamics, because like I said, the women have influence power. If they understand that influence power and how to use it, you will not struggle with the position of being the head with the man because you can actually influence. There are so many things I have done. 70%, it is my wife that is doing it. I'm just physically the vehicle or the body, but my wife is the one that is doing it because she knows how to influence. And influence power works perfectly under submission. It comes like still the submission, but it's actually an influence power. And that is why I believe there was emphasis on submission for the women, and then there was emphasis on whatever respect for the men. And one last thing, in the Bible, looking at everything, I'm going to use the Bible as this thing, just for my this thing. There are also verses that say that the man should submit. There's one verse that says that the man should submit to the woman, or it says you submit one to another. So it doesn't say that the man should not submit. The man is actually instructed to submit to the woman, and the woman is instructed to love the man. There's one verse on both sides. However, it's just that there's much more emphasis on the woman respecting, because there are more verses, there's much more emphasis on women respecting the man and the man loving the woman. But it doesn't mean that you cannot submit. And if you submit, it doesn't make you less of a man. That has been my own experience. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. I know we have so many questions that we cannot get to today. We will not be going past 12 noon, 12 today, please. We will not. It's a hard stop. So please, let's keep that in mind. I'm just going to allow, let's see. Idowu, yeah. Idowu, let me please unmute yourself. 1 minute. Let's hear your thoughts or your questions. Hello, Idowu, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right.
I really want to appreciate you guys for putting this together. Based on what I've heard, like the speakers talk about and individual contributions, I just want to understand now, I just want to point out that we are mixing so many things up. Number one, we have our cultural backgrounds that is actually helping our marriages from back home. And coming to this part of the world, it is okay to give room to other people's culture to learn from it. One of the presenters says, he said the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Mm-hmm. So we only try to understand one part of their culture, the one that actually suits us. And that is what we want to imbibe. But if you go and study very well, we will notice that even the so-called Western people, number one, they inculcate discipline into their homes, and they share the responsibilities for both men and women. Mm. But coming from Africa, coming from, our own cultural background, where man does everything, yes, you give him all of those respect. But once we move to this part of the world, It's supposed to be a shared responsibility. And I like what the doctor from, I think it's from Ghana, that says. You see, when you're doing something and you use the word we, growing up, I stayed with my sister, and anytime, at least I know I wasn't that young, that the husband wasn't working. If I'm going back to school, if my sister is giving me money, I know the money is coming from my sister. But she would tell me, my husband says I should give you this. I learned that from her. And on the other hand, if the husband too wants to give something to me, he will say, oh, I spoke with your sister, right? And he says we should give you this. Kindly manage this. That actually tells me there is no way I want to, break these two individuals. But most of the time, when we do things from here to our family members back home, we want them to know it's coming from me as the husband or it's coming from me as a wife. And from that, we are actually breaking that wall. And our people will say, if there is no hole in the wall, the lizard will never penetrate into it. So we are actually the one, giving room for the third parties to ruin our marriages. Now, coming back to us as individuals, husband and wife, how do we train our children? We need to use one voice. Sometimes my son will want to outsmart me. He will come to me, oh, daddy, I want this thing. I'll be like, actually, I can give it to you, but you know what? What did mommy say? And the guy will just look at me and go, he knows, oh, daddy got me on this. So sometimes we need to give room for one another. It shouldn't be, oh, I'm the man of the house, I can decide. Oh, he wants to eat cookie, let me give him cookie. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, ask mommy. Once mommy approves it, I will give you the cookie. I'm not saying I don't want to give you, because I don't know, maybe before I came back from work, it's possible he has had like 5 or 1 bowl or 3 bowls of cookies. But checking with mommy, that will guide that, okay, I cannot beat this man, because this man will always refer me back to mommy. So, and talking about roles is different. Like the role of a leadership is totally different, right? And the responsibility we need to share as husband and wife, we are mixing it up. Of course, everybody wants respect. Respect is said to be reciprocal. So what I just want to say to just conclude everything is this. Yes, we have our backgrounds. If we, either man or woman, wants to, inculcate the Western culture into our homes, we need to take time to study it very well. I've worked at Walmart at some point. I will see husband and wife come to Walmart to shop, and you will see they will pay together. I have elderly white people as friends that I will go to that. How are you guys doing it? They'll be like, well, this is what we agreed on. Right? The man I'll say, but you can pay. Yeah, I know I can pay. But sometimes my wife will say, you know what? Let us do these things together. The husband might be working from our culture, the wife might not be working, but give room that, you know what? Okay, this thing, sometimes, yeah, the wife will come up with a list. If you are capable of doing it, let her know. If you are not, express yourself. Let's find time to talk. I think communication is the key, because we have moved to the Western world. We need to learn how to communicate, and this will help us a lot. I'll just drop the curtain there so that other people can also contribute.
Thank you so much. And Elodie, you go. Sorry, Dr. Clarence, let Elodie go. Then we have our speakers tie everything together that way, so we know we're done for the day. Elodie, just 1 minute, please.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah. African men are very obsessed with the word respect. I don't know why they're panicking a lot. When we are in Africa, when we work, then it's easy for us to have people to help us to manage the house, and so things get much easier there. But when we come here, we have to adapt. Not just the women, even the men has to adapt. And that is where problem comes. Usually it's very difficult, because women can easily adapt, but men, they're trying. But I heard one of our fellow this morning saying that don't expect the man from morning to night to start cleaning. Yes, sometimes they say, okay, they want to help because they see that maybe there's a problem at home. They start cleaning, they clean left. Like, will you show them how to do that once? Even if you just show them, we don't have to show them. No one shows us, right? Like, you just do what, if I ask you, please help me to clean the counter of the kitchen. You know that you don't have to clean left and leave the right side. Clean the counter, everything. It's not, you're not doing that to make me happy, because when they do that, it's like 5 minutes. You come and clean and say, yeah, I cleaned that this morning. But when you go back there and see what they clean, you ask yourself, what's the point of cleaning? If I should come back again and clean that? So that way, sometimes it's a little bit too much on the women. It's not that no woman, no African woman, we know how African women are obsessed with the marriage. No African women go to marriage and planning to divorce. African women want to see the marriage succeed. Like everybody want to have the best marriage. But sometimes you get into that, especially when you get married very young. You don't know where you're going. You think that, okay, everything is right, and then you get the best man. And so, but usually it's not always. I mean, most of the time, it's not starting from the woman. I'm sorry, man, but it's usually starting from the man. That's just generally how it is, especially when we come here, because somebody asked again that how can we be in Ghana and get married, everything works well, and then we come here and we start having issues. Issues usually are just little issues, because that's what they respect. That when they come here, whatever you do in the house, they start saying, because we're in Canada. Men are the ones starting that, usually are not women. So I mean, the main point of what I'm saying is that no women get married to divorce. They would really love to see the marriage growing. And usually it's not just the women, but the men, maybe that word respect. Yes, we know that. Even in the white people's marriage, there's respect, but they don't pronounce it the way we pronounce it. I don't know why we use that word too much, because that's the one destroying people's marriages outside there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful thoughts. And I will allow Dr. Clarence to go. We're rounding it up. Dr. Clarence, just in a minute or two, then we allow.
Yeah, I just want to, comment on the speakers who have made their efforts to share their values and their own comments. But when we look at being immigrants and coming to North America, we have to realize that the fundamental changes we have to make, the transformation and the growth, it's a work in progress. And when we look at marriages and relationship, it's when we validate it in a we and a us situation, it gives more representation of a unity in one, which basically expand on what love is. And it's a work in progress that we all have to execute for ourselves in conversations in terms of identifying who and what we are as a people. What we exhibit in terms of those areas give us the value for the children to have a conscious adaptation to themselves and does not feel as if they are educated for an entitlement and privilege values that create these negative dynamics in relationship and marriage. I will just leave one thought with you to say that excellence is a habit. They try not to be a person of success, but rather try to be a person of value. Attitudes are little things that makes a big difference. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Great leadership usually starts with a willing heart, a positive attitude, and a desire to make a difference. The price of greatness is responsibility. When we look at our lives, we realize we are from different ethnic groups, but we also have to look at when we have to execute change, transformation, and growth in our environment. We have to collaborate, we have to have the conversation. And when it comes on, as the Bible says, love conquers everything. So we need to have that awareness of our consciousness, just looking within ourselves first, and then looking at the examples we leave as legacy for the generations to come, having integrity with themselves and the point of understanding what love is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clarence. And Dr. Charles, we want you to also share your thoughts.
Dr. Charles had to drop off.
Oh, he had to drop off. Okay.
Yes,
Dr. Ho, then let's hear from you. The words of elders are the words of wisdom. Let's hear from you as we wrap this up. And yeah, we will not be able to, we can't finish everything in one day. If we need to have a part 2 of this, we will do. But please, Daddy, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me see.
Very desirable.
What we are doing here is just to share our own knowledge and experiences. There's an adage in Yoruba, literally translated, that says that when you want to give your cloth to a tailor, you look at the one that he's wearing. The tailor his material may be kind of poor quality material, but when you see the stitches, you know that is a good tailor. If he doesn't sew the one he's wearing properly, you are going to have a problem with him at the end. So when you're giving your cloth to a tailor, you look at the one he's wearing just to make sure that you get a good product. Literally translated, I'm saying that those of us who are here, we have managed our marriages for several years. It's unlikely you are going to invite somebody whose wife is no longer with him to come and moderate here, or a woman who has left her husband to come and moderate here. So you are bringing people who already tested the water and they've done very well. They don't mean we were perfect, but we have been able to manage it. So these are the experiences we are changing. We are not going to be able to solve everybody's problem. From some of the comments I'm hearing, it looks like some marriages actually require some counseling outside what we can do in this circle. If you find that your pastor is your enemy, it's not giving the right thing, I think nobody needs to tell you to move churches, right? Because you are not getting what you want from that place. Because the role of a pastor is to unite couples. It's not to divide couples. Well, so if you are getting the message that this is what your pastor is doing, you need to move on. And when you move twice and you are getting the same result, you now have to sit back and examine yourself to see, is the problem actually coming from me? Because the whole world cannot be wrong. That is very, very important. So we are sharing our experiences here. And I hope you will benefit. From a woman's point of view, Elodie, if you are still there, I want to say this much, that I was in Nigeria some time ago, and when the pastor was counseling, giving his message to the couple, after he told the wife a lot of things to do, he now turns to the man. He said, "Look, young man, your wife, many a times you are going to enjoy the food. When the food is well prepared, thank her very much. When the food is a burnt offering, you know what a burnt offering is? It's not so palatable because it probably got burnt on the fire. Don't scold her. Again, thank her. So when the food is well prepared, you thank her. When it's not well prepared of mistake, thank her to appreciate her. So when the man doesn't clean well, there's difference between, look at what you clean for me, and, oh, thank you, dear, you have read something, but you forgot to clean this side, that, you more or less, as if you are guiding your child, because some of the time, like Charles said before, so some of these things men don't do. A man who is not used to cleaning at home, where is your house help that was cleaning all the time? Suddenly in Canada, he finds himself to be the one that is cleaning. It's not going to be perfect at it. It's not going to be very good, but you can guide him in a very polite way that until you get him to come and do something. I have to tell you guys that I've been a better husband in Canada than I've been in Nigeria, which is the opposite of what we are talking about here. Because in Nigeria, there's more distraction for me, right? I was lecturing at university. I was having a side business. There's a family issue. And socially, men socialize with men in Nigeria. You don't go to, when I leave work, I go to the university staff club. I socialize with my friends, right? I don't go and pick my wife at home to say, let's go and socialize at the staff club. Men do things with men at home. But here it is different. Now we're a family here. I focus more on my family here than outside friends. But that way, my wife is able to get more out of me here than what she could get in Nigeria. I said at the last something that a man, you are going to have a successful marriage, you must also have outside friendship. You must have a few people of like minds who you socialize with. Not people who are going to be telling you, if you don't take that nonsense from your wife. Or if you are women, don't go with other women who's going to say that's nonsense. You are taking nonsense from your husband. They are not helping the situation. Go with people who are going to encourage you, encourage your marriage to do the right thing. And with all that, you are going to find that marriage can work like music. Good luck.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Ho, for that closing thoughts. It's been a wonderful time, 2 hours of fire questions and contributions, and we will be drawing a close to it at this point. We will try to continue some other time. And at this point, I want to say thank you to everyone that joined the Zoom call, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you for all your contributions. And we hope to have you again next month. I would like to hand over to Mama D from Ruth House. She's our host, and to take the announcements and give us our closing thoughts as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Old, Daddy. Thank you, Dr. Charles, as well as Dr. Clarence, for your contributions, and everyone who's joined us. There's so much chats and so much questions that we were not able to answer. Please forgive us. You can reach out to us directly at Ruth's House, and we will be able to answer some of these questions for you. Next month is going to be a very, another interesting conversation. We are going to be bringing you the role of faith leaders and religion in marriage. That's going to be a very interesting topic because people want to know, we always seem to come back to, religion, our faith. And so we're going to be having that conversation. What is the role of faith leaders and in our marriage? And I want to remind us, we do have a platform for the men only. It's, the Brotherhood Connect every Sunday at 7 to 8 on Zoom. If you want to, connect with us more there, you can. We also have the Sisterhood Circle every Monday night on Zoom. And as well as we have a number of different programs for our community. We have free legal clinic. We have a free counseling as well. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you on this platform. So please share your feedbacks on the platform. There's a feedback form. Please share it with us. And join us next month for that conversation, the role of faith and religion in marriages and family. Is, we Africans are, all Black people, most Black people, let's not say all, we are all religious people. So where does faith and where does religion, play? What role do they play and should they play in the marriage and in the home? We've had, comments and, conversations today about the leaders and pastors and, their contributions. So we want to dive into that, and we're going to have, religious leaders with us next month. We have an imam, we have a pastor, and we have a couple of other people that will be joining us to speak to that, the role of faith leaders and religion in marriage. I want to thank every single person for joining us. Temitope, you do a great job every month facilitating this conversation, and we can't do it without you. Daddy, thank you so much for always giving us insights, always guiding us. Daddy has over 50 years of experience in marriage and in leadership. And we, it brings, it's very, very valid, and we should all listen, as well as, Dr. Charles and Dr. Clarence. Ruth's House is a place for the whole family. We are here to support everybody. We are not, we're not here to judge. We're not here to take sides. So we're not here as a women's, feminist organization. We're not here to bash men. We're not here to also bash women or to tell people what to do. We are here to provide resources. We're here to provide support, and we're here to, give counsel. And if you are going through any kind of difficulties and challenges in your home, in your marriage, We have elders, we have, social workers, we have therapists, counselors who are trained professionals from the community that are here to support and guide. We don't want our community to do life alone. We don't want our community to do marriage alone. And we don't want our children to be left alone either. We are trying to build that village, that wraparound service, so that every Black person, every people of color in our community has a safe place to go and can access the help that they need. So Ruth's House is here. Please please help us fill out the feedback form and connect with us. We take a lot of referrals from faith leaders. We take a lot of referrals from community leaders. We take a lot of referrals from families, individual referrals, as well as referrals from agencies that feels that we can offer a better service that is more culturally relevant to the families. So we are here as a support system and as a network to help everybody. Thank you all so much. God bless you. It's well over 12 o'clock. People are still chatting, but we should let you go to enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everybody, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
For those that want to stay on and chat a bit more, we can stay on for a few minutes, but we are officially dismissed and we are going to be shutting down.
So can one reach out to you personally?
Yes, please do so. Our contacts are in the chats. Please feel free to give us a call. We'll be happy to respond and meet you. My number is also there, as well as our office line that offers 24-hour service.
Okay, God bless. That's good. Sounds good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, ma. God bless, ma.
Let me figure out how to stop it.
My wife is saying hi to you.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Oh, did you hear what you said about fried rice?
I did. I'm coming to eat his right. I am trying to figure out how to turn it up on YouTube, and I don't know how to do that. How do I do that?
So much. Thank you. My name is Lygia.